We're now joined by Margarita Sovertokina from Usercentrics. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. The event is lovely. So many people, so many new faces, so many people that I already know. So it's great to be here. And yeah, looking forward to our conversation today.
Fantastic. Well, I think I've spoken to Usercentrics in the past, maybe at some point, but we can't assume everyone's watched. So for people who don't know, what is Usercentrics? What do you do?
Yeah, sure. I'm sure you have visited like a bunch of websites and you can see this like cookie banners. That's what we do, but we don't do this only for websites. We do this also for apps and for mobile games. That's why we are here, right? And it's not only about the banner. It's about compliance. It's about becoming compliant with all the global regulations because there are so many of them right now, and it's becoming a headache for the game publishers to be fully compliant. And that's when we come. Right, we help publishers to understand better the environment of data privacy and how to collect the consent and how use it for like personalized ads and so on. For now, it's very strict in Europe, but I'm sure it's gonna evolve more in the other regions as well. But yeah, that's in short and in easy, I would say, language. That's what we do.
Well, I know talking about things like data, that's something that you're doing a panel on later on in the day with a few other people on that subject. But regarding those data privacy regulations, like what kind of challenges do mobile developers face, and how is your platform kind of tackling and dealing with the ever-changing privacy landscape? You mentioned Europe, for example. Like that was a big change, and at the Apple App Store, they clamped down on data gathering. How do you deal with it? How do you make sure you're still compliant while getting the data you need?
Yeah. Exactly. So if we're talking about developers or game developers or publishers, before I think this topic, because we have been attending the events and focusing on gaming industry for the last 3 years, and before the people were like, that's not about us. That's not about monetization. It has nothing to do with marketing or attribution. It's all about the legal team, right? Here's our legal colleague. Go to talk to them. But the things has drastically changed. I think it's also because of the Google AdMob and requirements from Google and from other, monetization and attribution providers. So basically now, if you are a publisher and your monetization on user UX or user acquisition manager, this is your responsibility, and you need to do this for improving your monetization results, right? And it's becoming a headache because the people in the industry, they don't know how to deal with this. And there is no only one requirement. There is every half a year, they're popping up around the globe, different requirements, right? And then the people are spending a lot of time on this, trying to understand and trying to be compliant, and still they're not sure if they're fully compliant. And then when we come and we say, don't worry about it, leave it for us. I mean, we don't provide a real legal consultation, but we have a SDK that you can basically install in your apps. And you can become in a couple of clicks, you can become compliant, and you can also expand this to the different regions, right? Because for example, now, as I said, right, it's mostly in European area that if you want to be compliant with the regulation and also keep doing personalized ads, you need to have this consent banner. And what we do is basically we help you to set it up. You set up the banner and you keep monetize. You keep doing your job. You keep focusing on what game publishers and developers love, right? To develop the games, to create the new characters, monetize. Analyzing user experience and so on. So they can keep doing the core job, what they have do, and we take the pain, right, from the being in alliance with the regulations.
Well, you talk about the data and the privacy and the gathering. There is still data out there in the world. People are able to gather bits and pieces, and the data has been showing recently during that slump that we've been having. The last 2 years have been a bit difficult for the industry, and it means that we've seen that fewer people are spending money on the items in the games. They've seen that actually more people are playing them, but there's been a downturn in some cases. This is according to a report by Unity last year. Are you seeing or hearing anything about that, or from when you're dealing with your section, compliance and things like that? the way that payment systems are used and monetization, does that become part of the making sure you're data compliant in terms of things like gathering credit card information and things like that? Is there a crossover there, and are you noticing a change?
I would say this is more like a first-party data. We more help with the third-party data. So, like when you when you collect the information for attribution, marketing, monetization, and so on. So to do this, to keep monetizing, you need to collect the consent first, right? So when you collect the consent, then you can keep doing what you have done before. But coming back to your question about like that there are so many players, right? But they are not buying or they're not like creating that much revenue. Of course, it's great, that there are like so many new players and the people are more engaged in the game. But of course, the publishers, they would like to get some money from this, right? And I think here is the key, is to be transparent with the users. Because imagine me as Margarita, right? I download the app, I'm going there, especially if I'm a European, right? Because the people are concerned about their data, about what's going on. We are living in such a time, right? So I think here it's very important to be transparent with the users, to tell him, okay, look, I'm doing this and that, and I would like you to agree, because after this and that will happen, right? I will like send your data there, and to be transparent and ask for consent. Because if you don't do, at the end, like you don't know who your user is. I mean, you cannot do the personalized ads, and you cannot analyze as much the user experience, and then you are also breaking the trust in a way, because I have many friends, that they are using some apps or webs, and if they don't get the banner or they don't understand what the platform is doing, then it's not ethical, I think, in one way, and in another, it's not compliant, so you can also get fined. And as well, it's just ruining the user trust. So I think for the publishers, it's important to collect the first-party data, so really focus on who is the user, who is the behavior of the gamers, right, who are playing the games, and as well to build the trust, to be transparent. Because at the end of the day, I think this is one of the things.
Mm. Well, we talked a lot about people using AI last year and it being a big buzzword in the industry. Now, a lot of companies like yourselves, I'm sure, have been using machine learning, ML, for years. And so it's not necessarily a new thing, but there is this generative AI and other systems people are employing to take advantage of it. Is that something that you folks are interested in? Do you think it's going to have a big impact on the industry at large, or is this a bit of a kind of bubble?
Yeah. I think it's just the beginning of AI, right? So everybody is like starting to use this. I also think there is like a lot of potential. Of course, we like also use it in a way like in data privacy industry, but again, we need to be careful with that. And I know like, I mean, in our solution, we have some automation with AI, but still like we need to keep it compliant and ethical, because like, I'm sure you also have, noticed in some social medias that the people are using it not in really ethical way, and there is a lot of confusion. But if we are talking, for example, about gaming industry, I think AI is a great thing. I mean, it helps a lot of developers to, to create more like clever characters, in the games. So the gamers are more they are more into the game, like they are more hooked, because the characters are smarter or the experience is more real. So I think in this, AI can help a lot as well, right? To develop the games, to write the code, it makes it easier. And I think about the monetization in general, that
part of that 2-year slump that we've been enduring within the industry has seen an awful lot of layoffs and, people downsizing and developers downsizing, and, maybe games they thought would work haven't, and as a result, the developers themselves and the staff has been hit. Hopefully we're nearing the end of this, but have you seen a reflection in that in the developers and the people that you work with, and do you see it as something that we're on the tail end of, or are we still in kind of dangerous waters?
I think it might be slowing down, as you said, but I think it might come back in a couple of years because the industry is changing. It's not only gaming industry, it's the tech in general, right? Because there are a lot of new technologies, again, AI, right, that is replacing some of our tasks. So I think it's gonna be there for a while, but this is not a bad thing, right? It's like for us, it's a good thing for us as well to learn the new skills, you know, to improve ourselves. And yeah, I mean, I see it like the technologies are helping in a way to make our life a bit easier, but then we have to be more flexible. If we are talking about Usercentrics in particular, I would say it didn't affect us as much because we are basically working with different industries. So we kind of diversificate across all of them. And as well, we have different products. So that helps. And I would say as well, because, you know, the data privacy industry with years becoming stricter and stricter. So we have more and more work. And actually last year we even were able to hire like, I think around 100 more people. And we also expand. We had like, I think we have 4 offices in Europe and 1 outside. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, our industry is going quite well at the moment.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you came to the show today, and obviously I mentioned you're doing a panel later on. What to you is the reason to come to physical events like these? I mean, you could do this, a lot of business online, and we all do, but is there a difference with the physical events? Do you find there's a specific reason to come?
I mean, definitely. I think, you know, after COVID, right, everybody started to do a lot of online business and, you know, marketing. But I still think, especially in gaming industry, as I said, right, we started to come to like Pocket Gamer 3 years ago. And when we came the first time, like we didn't know anybody. And it's really hard to get into the industry, right? Because it's a bit tight. You need to go there, be there present, you know, go to network and communicate. And then people know you, they know what you do. And that's actually how it happened, that we build the trust by being present at the event. We build the brand awareness. And back then, the people, like no one wanted to talk to us because they were like, cookie banners, compliance. We just want to develop games, you know. We don't really do this, you know. And then the AdMob deadline came like in January last year. So it's basically, if you want to be compliant, you need to implement the consent management platform from Google certified provider that we are. And then everybody like, oh, I remember Margarita. And, you know, we are connected on LinkedIn and so on. And it makes it way easier. And that's why they didn't go looking around. They already knew that, okay, I met Margarita in last Pocket Gamer. I remember her. Let's have a chat. I think that helps a lot.
Well, we're delighted that you were able to come, and hopefully we'll see you again at future events.
Yeah.
But best of luck with the panel, and speak to you again soon.
Thank you.